Good morning, lovelies. Welcome back. This is the Witch Doctor podcast. So, in light of our kind of dark content last week, wasn't the greatest week ever. I wanted to lighten things up a little bit this week. So, this week we're going to talk about kind of my paranormal investigations, what kind of led us to getting into that. Just kind of a fun one. Kind of what me and my husband like to do in our free time. So I figured we needed to lighten the mood up a little bit. So, what started it, we've always watched like Ghost Adventures, stuff like that. We're horror fans, so I feel like they kind of go hand in hand a bit. Back, I think it was 2 years ago. I don't know. After COVID, all the years just run together. I don't know what year it is anymore. Project Fear was coming to the Indiana State Sanatorium. And when they did, Adam Kimmel gave away investigations to, I think it was the sanatorium, I forget where else. He gave away 2 or 3 investigations. So I entered and I watched his live. He ended up giving them away, and then he was like, oh, I kind of want to do another one. So he ended up giving one away for Madison Seminary, and I won. That was insane. I started shaking. It was crazy. Like, I never expected to actually win it. Now I know why I won it. So, we went in January. Madison Seminary is in Madison, Ohio. It's like 6 hours from us. Why I chose to go in the winter. Worst mistake ever. The day that we went ended up being like this huge snowstorm. Didn't even know if we were going to make it at some points. And of course, where Madison is up next to the Great Lakes. So it's even worse because you get the lake effect snow. So I think there was like 2 or 3 feet of snow on the ground by the time we got there. We were not prepared for the cold. We brought layers, but investigators know there's nothing like trying to investigate in the winter, in the cold, in some of these buildings that, I mean, they're not equipped to heat like that. I'm not blaming them at all, but we were way underprepared. So we froze to death. Pun intended. It was awesome. We caught so much evidence. None of us had went on anything like that before. We had the whole building to ourselves. It ended up being my husband, me, my mother-in-law, my husband's uncle, and a couple of his cousins. We had the best time. Like, I will never forget that investigation. Madison is huge. I am such a history nerd, and I think that's why I love investigating so much, because like these buildings and the history behind them just, it amazes me. And the amount of people that have been through those doors before like it became something to investigate, just like in their everyday operations back in the day. It's just, it's insane. I can't get over what some of these people went through in all these different places. Like, Madison had been a boys' home and all kinds of different things, and it had been an asylum. And the stories of the people that would sit there upstairs and just were catatonic, basically. It's just crazy to think about. And the fact that, you know, as many people and as many emotions and as much trauma that has happened in those places, those walls are going to absorb that energy. And that's something that, in my beliefs anyway, I don't think will ever go away. And yes, you have people going in and out, and things can attach, and they can go other places, and other things can come in, but you're always going to have that residual energy. And I think that's what gives a lot of these places the character that they have and the intrigue for people like me. So that was a memory I'll never forget, and can never give Adam enough thanks for giving that away. After that was in January. We didn't investigate it again until November of that year. We didn't really know, how to go about it, or, where to go. And if you've ever looked into private investigations, they're not cheap, because they're meant for like a whole team of people to go. So I can't remember off the top of my head. I think Madison was like $500 or $600. And with places that don't have heat, or not, I don't want to say run down, but like a lot of these buildings are old and they're not insulated as well as like new buildings would be. So a lot of places, they're cheaper in the winter time when it's going to be colder than in the summer. So we had our family, but none of us have $100 to drop all the time to go places like that. So we actually started watching Sam and Colby because I was searching on YouTube for videos of Madison, and it turns out they were at Madison like 5 days before us. And so we started watching more YouTube with Sam and Colby, and then I forget who else we started watching at that point, but now we watch Twin Paranormal and Elton and all them, like all the mainstream YouTubers. I just like watching to see other people's reactions. We watch a lot of them to get ideas of where to go and see what places look interesting. Because, how can I say this? I don't mean any hate on any of them. I love what they do. We love watching them. But it's... investigating for yourself is not what you see on YouTube, or definitely not what you see on a certain adventure show. There's some places you go in and it's popping. Like, you get crazy evidence right off the start until you leave. Other places, for lack of a better word, are completely dead. Or maybe it's a mix and you have a lot of activity at first and then it kind of slacks off. I mean, we've been basically every end of that spectrum at the different places we've been. So, our second investigation is a great example of that. Me, my husband, his uncle, and one of his friends went to, just lost the name of it, the Monroe House, in Hartford City. And it was cheap. It was close. A lot of people had said it was absolutely insane activity, like it was being called the Demon House, and, people couldn't stay there. We had watched Nick Groff's video there where they found the bones in the basement. I almost said attic, sorry. And we were super pumped. Like, we were going in here. I was nervous for this one. And we got basically nothing. Like, it felt off. And there's certain parts where I felt like I was being watched. And, like, I did not like the upstairs. But we got, like, no. I want to say no. I don't know. We did not get much evidence. Whether it was just an off night, the spirits didn't want to talk to us. I think some of it had to do with the friend that was with us. I don't know. The worst part, the basement is definitely sketchy. The first time my husband opened the basement door, I kicked it shut. Because whenever he opened that door, there was something there that just, my whole body said hell no, and I shut the door back. And I was like, we are not going down there right now. And we didn't. And when we did go down there, that feeling wasn't there. So, I don't know what that was. I was not about it. So, I'd say, besides that, the creepiest thing that happened that night was we flipped a breaker, but we also brought a heater. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying that it's not haunted. We have friends that were there and did have some crazy stuff, but for me, it was our experience was underwhelming. I won't say the building was underwhelming. So don't come at me. That's just our experience there. I do want to go back because it is cheap and it is fairly close to us. So, Monroe, it's whatever. That was our second. And then that was in November. The next year, I had found some other places, and Randolph County Asylum was one. I had started working a new job, and a friend was kind of into this stuff too, so she told me about that one. I didn't know it was so close. And I started following their page, and they had flashlight tours one night, or a public investigation, whatever you want to call it. So we decided to go with, it was me, my husband, my mother-in-law, the same uncle, the same two cousins, and another friend. Oh my gosh. I absolutely love Randolph. Back to the history, the energy, the stories, it's just gorgeous. The architecture. We got quite a bit of evidence. One of the most non-forgettable things I've ever happened in our many investigations at this point happened there. His uncle was doing the Estes method in the little pantry cellar thing in the kitchen down in the basement, and we were all standing out there asking questions, and he said under Estes, "Did you hear that?" Because we had been asking for it to make noises, or I think we had the Ovilus or something going. And I said, "No, can you do it a little louder?" I shit you not. I have this on recording, and it is the craziest thing ever. I hate that all my best evidence is followed by me screaming like a little girl. But we're in a basement. I am standing next to the wall. So, basements are underground. There's nothing outside of this wall. And there is no one next to me. But I will be damned if when I asked it to make a louder noise, there is not a huge crash right by my head. We all screamed. Us three girls were standing there. We all screamed and ended up in each other's arms. We pulled him out of Estes, and it was crazy. I mean, like at Madison, I forgot to say this, but at Madison, we have a video. It's probably some of our most compelling evidence we've ever gotten. Upstairs in the hallway to the doctor's room in the attic, we have a video where we have a flashlight, because at that point we didn't have very much equipment, just what they let us borrow. And we set the flashlight down and we were asking questions. It was the twist mag light. We have a video where my husband asked it to turn on, turn off, and then he even asked it to make it flicker. And if that flashlight did not flicker on command. So we have that. We have another video at Randolph with a flashlight like that. And then we have this big thud. We ended up leaving early that night because his uncle was over it and ready to get back home. I was upset. I was having so much fun. I loved it. But we rode with them. So we ended up leaving. And I told my husband that night, I said, we're going back. I don't know when, but we're going to go back. And we are going to meet people. Besides your family. Like, nothing against his family. I love y'all. But I was like, we are going to meet more people so that we can start going to these bigger places and different places. And be able to do, like, private investigations. Like, public investigations are great if you don't have the money to rent somewhere out, but you are with a bunch of people that you don't know. And I mean, not that people mean to, but you pick up their conversations, their footsteps, stuff like that. So it just makes it a little harder to kind of debunk certain things. So, I mean, yeah, I prefer private investigations, obviously, but I mean, public ones work too. But I found another date at Randolph. It was like, first one was in January or February. April 1st, they were doing one, and this was last year. They were doing another public hunt, and I was like, babe, let's go. Just us two, let's go. And we both said, you know what? We are going to meet someone. We want to meet someone. Like, another couple would be perfect. It'd be great. But if not, just people that like to do the same thing that we do, that, you know, we're on the same kind of vibe, wavelength. Just, you know, new friends. Because, yeah, we have all of our friends from, like, my husband has friends that he's had for a while. I don't really. That's back on the depressing train. Anyway, we're like, we need more friends that, you know, we share these kind of hobbies with. So we went to Randolph. We got there a little late. We go to do our own thing. We had a little more equipment at this point. His uncle got given a bunch by a friend that didn't investigate anymore. So we got super lucky with that. So we went, and we were walking around. We went down and we're sitting in the morgue. And I think we had a REM pod on the table. And we were sitting there asking questions. And all of a sudden we start hearing somebody come down the hallway. And my husband kind of wanted to get up and leave. And I was like, whatever. I'm staying here. They came down, they're like, oh, we're sorry. And I was like, no, come in. I'm totally not that person. I just told you that I have, like, no friends. So, I was like, yo, you guys, it was 3 girls and a guy. I was like, come in, sit down. They had equipment running. Well, their equipment, I think it was necrophonics. Probably, that's what Shay usually uses. Told them to come to the morgue. And we're like, okay, sweet, you know, we don't mind. Sit down. get your stuff out, whatever. And we're sitting there, and, we're getting stuff. And, like, I'm trying to think how to explain this. Not sound crazy. I don't call myself a psychic or a medium at this point. I will say that I have abilities, and I am working on honing in on those abilities. I see things, I hear things, I feel that things are there. And this was kind of one of those first times I was like, I feel like there's a man, like a big man standing over in that corner. And as soon as I said it, we had a cat ball sitting over there, and it instantly went off. And I was like, what? And, we just kind of got that, and then we went, I forget where else we even went. We ended up going around with them, and we were like, hey, the guy and the girl, it was their first time, and they ended up going to bed. And then the two girls that were left were Heather and Shay. And we went around with them. We went upstairs. We went all around. Got some more evidence. And at the end of the night, we were like, we were talking to them, and they were like, let's add each other on Facebook. And I'm like, okay, friends. And we did. Didn't really think much of it. Started commenting on each other's stuff, and, posted that we made new friends. Everything was great. I was so excited because I was like, they seem so cool, and I'm so excited. And, after that, we kind of kept in touch on Facebook. My son ended up getting very sick after that. I have to do a whole episode. I didn't even think about that. His appendix ended up rupturing right around his 13th birthday later that month, and so we were in and out of the hospital a lot. I'll come to find out, Shay had also had her appendix rupture at one point, so, we started kind of messaging back and forth, and she told me a little about that, and we just kind of connected with that. And then they had been investigating together for a while. They had been to a few different places, and they had an idea for a team. They had some investigations booked for the rest of the year. I think it was May or June. They popped up and had a cancellation in their group that was going to Whispers Estate. And I told my husband, I was like, let's go. He's like, with who? I was like, Shay and Heather from Randolph. And he was like, okay. We're both so introverted, it's insane. But I'm an introverted extrovert, if you will. So I was all about it. I forget, it was like a 4-hour drive or some shit. I don't even remember. It was horrible. But we went down there, and we had all been hyped up since we decided to go, talking. We get down there, and that investigation was so much fun. We had so much happen at that house. Definitely go to Whispers Estate if you ever have the chance. I forget where the hell it is. It's in Indiana. I don't remember what the place is called. But definitely go there if you get the chance. We heard a disembodied voice of a female while we were upstairs. My husband immediately went downstairs with the camera, and there was nobody down there. And a fellow investigator of ours, he takes a lot of pictures. He got this picture of my husband that still to this day, it is some of the most compelling evidence I've ever seen. My husband is standing in a doorway, and you can see his boots, his jeans, his arms even, his shoulders, but there is this huge black... The only way I can explain it is if you have seen the Black Cat Shadow Man engulfing his entire frame. Like, you can see my husband, and then you can see the outline of the Shadow Man. Insane. So after Whispers, we were like, oh my god, we've finally found people that we can do this stuff with. And they're awesome. I mean, me and Shay have so much in common. It's crazy. Like, we are soul sisters through and through, and I absolutely love Heather to death. Our group is just awesome. I forget at what point. I don't think it was right after Whispers. I forget after what investigations we actually decided to become well, let me rephrase that. Shay and Heather already had the whole group idea, the name, all that stuff. So they kind of already had the group, but then they asked us to join. So we just became Covenant Paranormal Research, or CPR for short. We have merch. We have now been... I've lost count how many places we've been. Last year, after Whispers, we went to the Davies house, which doesn't take investigations anymore. That one was okay. I mean, we got a lot of interaction at first, but then it kind of died down. I think it was mainly like a lot of residual. I think we left at like 1 or 2 a.m., if that even. I don't know. It was like when bedtime would be, everything just stopped. So that one was okay. The Asher Walton house. This house 100% has a piece of all of our hearts. Like, we've been there twice now, and I am itching to go back so bad, you guys. Like, this place is in Atlanta, Indiana, and the first time we pulled up, I had goosebumps. It's so beautiful, and like, my old witchy, like, just, it calls to my soul. I don't know how to explain it. Like, when you pull up, it looks like the perfect little old... Don't come at me. I don't know that it's technically Victorian or anything like that. It's just like an old, gorgeous house. Ah, I love it. The whole little town of Atlanta, Indiana is so freaking cute. Like, the railroad goes right through the middle of the town. There's all these little shops. Across from the Asher house is this little, like... It's not a gondola. What the fuck am I trying to say? It's like a little... Not a patio. Whatever the hell that thing is. That has a roof and you sit under it. It's cute, okay? And there's a little playground. It's just adorable. And, like, you go in, and this house has the most beautiful staircase, and woodwork, and chandelier, and just, it feels like as soon as you walk through the door, you're just encompassed back to the day that Asher Walton and his family were walking through that house. I have had some of the most amazing interactions with spirits in my entire life in that house. And I think I can speak for all of us when I say that. Like, that first time, it was just magical. And we've got so much evidence. It's all over our Covenant Paranormal Research Facebook page, which, senseless plug right there. Go like our page, check it out. But we have all kinds of videos. My husband plays guitar and Shay sings, And a lot of the times that's kind of how we'll get investigation started, because we've noticed that it just kind of brings up the energy. Like, who doesn't like music? In that one living room, the way it's constructed, like the vocals just bounce, and it's gorgeous. Shay has all kinds of videos. But again, the history with that house and some of the evidence we got, I don't remember if it was Ovilus or Necrophonics or Spirit, but what it was. We were upstairs by the stairs, and this little boy asked if he was dead. And then we told him yes, and he said, "It's beautiful here." And I got cold chills just talking about it. It was the most beautiful but heartbreaking thing I have ever saw or heard in my life. Like, I don't know. We slept there. Well, the first time I didn't sleep very good. The beds are really hard. I'm weird about sleeping places that are not mine. So, the second time we went there was in October. We actually did a 2-night investigation. The first night was Friday the 13th, and that was all adults. The second night we did a junior investigation with children 13 and up. My son was one of those. That was amazing. Like, you have to understand, I told you that I used to be Apostolic Pentecostal. Well, my ex-husband and my kids still are. So my 13-year-old is very religious. Very, very religious. So I didn't know. Now, I didn't make him come. Let's get that out there now. Don't come at me like that. He wanted to come. I asked him. He wanted to. I thought he would have a horrible time. He absolutely loved it. There was one time, I have to tell this, Shay had on this really pretty, like, black witchy dress. Because, I mean, it was Halloween time. It was in October. Day after Friday the 13th. Come on. And it had these long lace bell sleeves. She was sitting in the middle, just kind of, like, grounding herself. And just kind of sitting there. And she raised her hands up and was shaking her arms to get her sleeves to come down because they were bothering her. And my son looked at me and he was like, "Mom, is she possessed?" Oh my God. I literally cried. I almost peed myself. I was laughing so hard. So yes, absolutely 100% suggest the Asher Walton house. And Keith, the caretaker, is amazing. We had a lot of good chats with him. We actually met the owner too. That was great. Absolutely love that house. I cannot wait to go back. Like, I would live there in a heartbeat. Now, the second time, okay. That second time we were there, I will say, for whatever reason, we have some kind of entity, something, I don't know what to call him. Like, if he's a spirit guide or a protector or an attachment, he's something. His name is Ed. Okay? He showed up at Whispers. We kept getting Ed. Ever since then, not every investigation, but most, we get an Ed that comes through. And at the Davies house, the SLS cameras showed he literally made a box around my husband like he was protecting him. So, he's not anything negative. He's not evil. It's hilarious. Because as soon as we hear the name Ed come through, it's like, God damn it, Ed. What? And like, he won't tell us who he is. He won't tell us what he is. But he will sit there and whether it's a REM pod or a flashlight or anything, if I ask him questions like, is that you? Are you following us? Things like that, he will answer on a dime. Or I'll say, like, is Ed here? And a light will start going crazy. So, I don't know. I don't know that we will ever know. And before you come back and say, oh, it's your equipment, it's because you talk about it, da 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 da. No. The first night we investigated with someone who didn't even know the Ed situation, their equipment said Ed. And started the whole thing. So, no. I have no idea. So it's kind of our running joke. It's like, damn it, Ed. But I do, whether he's an actual protector or he's just an attachment that is protective, I've never asked him to leave because I don't feel threatened by him at all. So, I don't know. He's been at Asher House too, but what? Oh my god, my ADD's acting up today. What brought that story on at the Asher House? We were in the closet upstairs, and I was sitting there and I did my whole, I saw somebody out of the corner of my eye. Now, this was during the kids' investigation. I think there was like 5 or 6 of us in the closet. 2 kids and then the rest adults. I said that I saw a man standing in the corner. And of course, everything started going crazy. One of the kids was using the Seer app. And as soon as I said that, the black shadow hat man thing popped up on the Seer app. And I think it said Ed at the same time or something. I don't even know. But everything happened at once. And it was just like, you know what? Nope, I'm done. Like, my brain short-circuited. Because you have to understand, as an investigator, and as someone who's working on honing their psychic abilities, when you get confirmation that what you're feeling and what you're seeing are the same thing, it kind of blows your mind. And like, my brain short circuit, I was done. That is the only time I have got up and walked away, and I had to go outside and just like collect my thoughts. Like, I wasn't scared, but it was just like, what the fuck? So that's another key one that I'll never forget. After the Asher House, we also went to the Stark Saloon in Indiana. I think Rossville, something, I don't remember. Somewhere down there. It's by, not too far from Indiana State Sanatorium in Billy Creek Village. That place was gorgeous. That one was just me, Harley, Shay, and Heather, and that was a trip in itself. Like, we had all of our equipment out. Me and Shay were doing just like tarot. The spirits asked us to do the Ouija board, and as we were getting it out, it told us that we needed to go faster. Yeah, that one was just, it was a really good team building. Like, we got a lot of evidence. And that was another one. I was like, oh, there's somebody standing there. Bam, cowball. Yeah, it was really cool with the saloon, and then the part that the kids and the family lived. And then there was actually a brothel right outside of the kids' bedrooms. So, that one was crazy. And then, let me think, where else have we been? We did Stark. I know I'm forgetting somewhere. We did Asher in October. Oh, over Thanksgiving last year, me, Heather, my husband, and Shay went to Villisca the Villisca Axe murder house with a couple other people. That one, oh, I don't, I don't even know. That one was insane. Like, I experienced something there that I feel like lifted me to the next level. When we were doing our tour, I got stuck in this one spot. Like, I could not move. I just felt instant sadness and just grief, and I connected. I just saw a woman standing there just bawling and sobbing. I got cold chills right now just thinking about it again. And I was stuck there. I couldn't move. I couldn't collect myself. And, we went about the tour, and then we went to the cemetery, which wasn't too far away, where the family was buried. And the family that was murdered at Villisca, there was the family, and then there was 2 other girls that were friends that got murdered. Everyone was being fooled to the family's gravestones, except me and Shay were kind of stuck on the little girls. And another person that was with us has abilities, and said something about he saw a woman in a white dress. And I was just sitting there, not at the little girls' graves, but at their mothers. And I instantly knew that that is who I connected with at the house. And that I had seen her standing over her children and just bawling. Well, I don't even know how long we were at the graveyard. I saw her. I can still picture it perfect in my head. There's an archway into the cemetery, and I saw her in this dress walking up that hill, bringing flowers to those girls' graves every single day. Like, that was her ritual. That is what she did. And then we looked next to her, and we found out she was also pregnant at that time, and she miscarried 2 or 3 days later, stillborn, whatever it was. She lost that baby. So in a span of 2 or 3 days, I think it was, she lost 3 of her children. And that just connected with me, and seeing her standing over the children and then making her way to the grave every day, just something in that changed me, and that was crazy. I would definitely go back to Villisca. That was moving around. That was an awesome place to investigate. We didn't it wasn't like what we thought it would be. Like, I feel like the house kept getting us to argue more about what happened and who did it and did anything, and the truth is, nobody is ever gonna know. That, well, for one thing, everybody's gone that was actually there, but there was so much that went wrong with that situation. Like, the whole town had traipsed through the house and ruined all of the evidence before the police even investigated. Like, there was no chance of ever figuring it out, in my opinion. So, I don't know. And do not go in. Shay had this one light that we had on, and we weren't getting much activity, and we got kind of loopy at that point. And we were joking around about smoking pot and this, that, and the other, and her light got put out real fucking quick. Me and this other guy literally, like, I was shrunk down in the corner because whoever, I'm assuming it was the woman of the house because they were religious, was pissed that she even brought that up in her house. Like, it felt like there's this big old lunch lady screaming at you or something. Like, it was hilarious. Um, yeah, that was fun. And the whole trip there, I mean, we're from Indiana. That was a 7-hour drive, something like that. I don't know. That was a fun um, road trip. I feel like I'm missing somewhere else that we've been. I don't know. We've been to so many places now. Um, we just did a American Legion. That was awesome. We got some really compelling evidence there. And then we just did Beale Mansion in Fremont, Ohio last weekend. Oh, that's another one. Go there if you have the chance. We got so much. That was another. Oh, I forgot. I'll circle back. We had a woman and her daughter join us. We actually went to Fairfield Infirmary on, that one time, New Year's Eve, and we met Lucy and her daughter, and they came with us to Beale, and that was crazy because me and Shay kind of work on our abilities, and then Lucy is a medium, so it was interesting having that. And I have a video up. Me, Lucy, her daughter, and my husband were the only ones in the house. Heather and Shay were outside. We had all the lights off except in the dining room next to us. We were just sitting there in complete silence, just kind of letting the house do its thing and see what we could get. Oh my God. All of a sudden, there's a big old pop that comes from the room next to me, and I about shit myself. The video's hilarious because you just hear me say, "What the fuck was that?" Oh, I'm so embarrassing. But I ended up connecting with a little girl there, and like seeing these visions, I guess you could call them, is something new for me, but it's so amazing because I'm just standing there, and all of a sudden I just see like a video in front of me playing, and like I saw this bunk bed, and there was a little girl sitting there with brown hair and pigtails, and she's holding this brown teddy bear and just squeezing it and looking out the window crying. Now, this used to be an orphanage, mind you, and where we're at is where the kids stayed, and our equipment ended up basically saying that she had watched us from the street. And I'm like, wait a minute. I went over to that window where I saw her and look out, and you see my car. And it's just, Lucy picked up that I reminded her of her mom, and that her mom had drowned. Excuse me, we had gotten that from our evidence, and her dad couldn't handle, excuse me, I got hiccups now. Her dad couldn't handle it, and so he had brought her there. Oh my gosh, it was nuts. And I also caught a figure in the window in a picture with that one. I had a lot of good evidence of that one too. I really like that house, and I would definitely want to go back. Backtrack to New Year's Eve, we went to Fairfield County Infirmary. We wanted to spend New Year's Eve as a team. We've been through a lot as a team and individually. We kind of wanted to end the year on a good note and move forward. So we did that. That was pretty awesome. We met Lucy and her daughter. They're awesome people. We instantly clicked with them. As we were walking around, me and Shay would say stuff, and Lucy would be like, "Oh my God." So we all kind of melded there. That was an awesome time. Had a ton of fun. Definitely will be back. When the activity kind of died down a little bit, me and Shay get the giggles, and my poor husband just follows along. So Heather and them were still investigating, and we started making Ghost Adventures spoofs and just stupid videos, stupid TikToks, and it was so much fun. I loved it. So our next adventure is St. John's Microbrewery, I think. It will be in a couple weeks. It's also in Ohio. Looking forward to that one. We have the Hinsdale House in New York on the books for October. And we're trying to get Billy Creek on the books. There's a few different places. I don't remember. We've had so much shit planned for so long, it's hard to keep up with all of it. But yeah, so that's I know this one's kind of a longer one, but that's just kind of some of the paranormal adventures that we've been on and how our team kind of came to be and, all that fun stuff. So, like I said, I wanted to make it a little lighter after last week. We have court this Thursday for all that, so I will update y'all on that next week. But I know I'm a little late this week too. Everything's been hectic, so. But I will let y'all go on that note. I hope you enjoyed my crazy ADHD nonsense this week, but I hope y'all have a good week, and I'll see you next week. That's the Witch Doctor.